Hi, everyone. Welcome to this very new episode of This Could Have Been a Podcast. Today, I'm with Alice.
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself first before we introduce any subject?
Yes, I will try to introduce myself somehow. So, hi, my name is Alice. I come from Italy, close to Milano. I've been living in Germany since over, I think 10 years now. In Berlin, around 9 years. It's a lot of time. So, 1/3 of my life, basically, I lived abroad. Yeah. This year, I'm going to be 32 years old. And I studied psychology and neuroscience and then sexology. So I have 2 master degrees, which I don't use basically. Yes, that's me.
Amazing. I'm so happy to have you today
Very
because
happy to.
today we're going to talk about friendships and especially about making friends once you move abroad.
Mhm.
And I think that's a very interesting subject because we met we met maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, but
Yeah.
technically we met less than a year ago now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're actually one of my closest friends. And it happened very fast.
I know.
But we exchanged a lot, and I think we went through a lot of different subjects and a lot of different phases recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're the perfect person to talk about this subject with me today.
I'm very looking forward.
So I have a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start with something very basic, like what was your first experience when you moved to Berlin? How did you came here? Did you know anyone? Did you have to start from scratch socially from Italy and everything?
Yeah, very nice question. So I moved to Berlin with my ex-boyfriend. I met him when I was in Malaga and doing my Erasmus, and then he was German from Munich, and I spent 1 year in the south of Germany while I was studying medicine. And then I wanted to study so badly in Germany too, like to do my master degree in neuroscience, but I was not accepted in any place all over Germany. And because I didn't have a C1 or C2 level of German, it was a struggle. And then I just got accepted randomly in a master degree of neurolinguistics, which is something totally different. It's more about also a lot of programming, a lot of horrible things that I was not interested in. Nothing against programming, but at the time I just didn't like it. And then we moved here, but he was still studying medicine, so he decided to stay in Ulm. And when I moved here, basically I packed all my stuff inside a camion, truck, yes. And there was a driver. I think the service is called Any Van or something like this. And it was
promotion.
Nah, sorry. Oops. No, I don't even know if that's the real name. But this person, it was a random German dude, in their 50s, very pissed, and I was just crying because I was like, where am I going? It was the first time moving into a very big city.
Yeah.
I was not that young. I was maybe 22.
That's young.
Yeah, but
yeah,
there are people that moves I think even younger in bigger cities. So it's oof. And I arrived alone, and basically he left all my furniture in front of this flat. Yeah, it was actually in Frankfurt Halle. It was all new. I was the first time I moved to Berlin was
amazing.
Yeah. The problem is that the first week, I can't lie, I was not the cool girl going out and trying to go and look for friends. I was miserably alone. I just cried a lot. And I called my mom, my dad, and my uncle even. And it was I was not cool. I had no friends. And I felt a bit intimidated. Also, it was extremely cold. It was September. I don't know why it was already cold. Yeah. And then I didn't have any friends here. That's my first experience.
That is so crazy. So you didn't know anyone in Berlin except your ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, then eventually moved.
He didn't move with you,
no,
so
I
you were
was
alone.
alone.
That is crazy.
Oh.
And what happened next? Like, do you remember who was your first friend?
Yes.
Or...
Guess who? I think no. Did you meet her? Yeah. No, Daniela.
Okay.
So Daniela. So it was amazing because when I went to this like neurolinguistics, like let's say we were like, can you imagine a university like degree where like there are only, and it's public, so it's insane. We were only 12 in the class.
But that built intimacy, like.
Yes,
clearly.
exactly. But they were also all nerds, like incredibly nerds,
like you.
Yes, somehow. Yeah, but then there was like, I remember these two girls, like Olivia, that was American from San Diego, and we connected directly. And then I remember the second or the third week, I remember this girl, like a bit like with dark hair, like very like, I don't know, she didn't look so friendly, I have to admit. I think she was very closed up, but she smiled at me. And then we discovered that we were very similar. And we're up to now very, very good friends. Like, she's one of my best friends here in Berlin. We have ups and downs, but we're still very good friends. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay, but I mean, I think like back in the day when we were in high school and everything, it was so easy, or like even in university or anything, so easy to meet people because you know you will see them every day.
Yeah.
So you didn't have like the fear or the feeling that you had to do so much work to maintain those friendships, because along the way you knew those people, you're going to see them every day and you're going to build like friendship over time, and then it's going to be easy. But then we're losing that when we move to another country, or like when we just started in the active life, because you don't have don't have this anymore.
No, it's like you don't have a purpose. Like you don't have a space where you say like, I'm going there. Like maybe it's job, but now everyone can do it also remotely, or like in our kind of jobs, you can do it remotely and everything. So you don't have anymore maybe a purpose, or like you start an activity and then you interrupt it, and then you're going to just we're very good at this. And then you go and you start another one, and then it's very hard to keep and maintain the relationship. Also then like Berlin, like okay, there are capitals that are like much bigger, but Berlin is a big city.
Yeah.
For example, we live so far away.
Yeah.
Like we live like 45 minutes.
Yeah. I consider an hour per year.
Yeah, it's 1 hour.
And to maintain that and to see each other, it's challenging sometimes, because you know we have to commute at least 2 hours to see each other.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
Maybe summer is gonna help it as well.
I hope so. I hope so.
What is like you think your biggest challenges when it comes to like building friendship abroad?
That's a very good question. I think I would say the biggest challenge is that sometimes people leave, and then the dynamic really changes. Or like particularly in Berlin, I feel like, I don't know if people think of Berlin as home, or if like it's just a temporary part or like experience of their lives. So that's a bit challenging, I think, for me, because I never know how much time do we have, how the intensity is going to be. Are they going to be here, for example, when I'm going to have children, or I'm going to be here when they're going to have children, you know? And this, like, I feel like it's the most challenging. For me, it's a bit difficult, this part.
You lose a bit the sense of community you might have at home when you think people are going to stay around anyways. Somehow it's in our imaginary as well, because they might not.
Of course.
But it brings some kind of, I mean, for example, at home we have families, or at least people that we know for a long time that we know we can rely on, and then Berlin's feet is a bit more like fragile in that
It's
sense.
very fragile, and this like, I don't know, it's a bit complicated. Or I'm like thinking like the people that want to be here, probably they want to move out of the city and go more like, I don't know, like where, like in Berlin, when you move a little bit outside, you're basically in Brandenburg, which is like
the countryside,
and it's AfD. It's really not my vibe.
Exactly. That's scary to me.
It's so scary.
It's like the bike, and to go a bit like outside of Berlin already is already scary.
I would never. I don't do it. I just don't do it. Max, I go to Charlottenburg and I chill like at the lakes, but that's it. It's too scary.
And do you feel like as an expat, you meet easily German people actually, and like, do you think you connect with them a lot, or do you think it's mostly expat people? And
that's very interesting, because I think like, I mean, I had to learn German because of universities, and my ex-partners were both Germans, and I feel like I got very close also to German people. So I would say I have half people that half of my friends are German and half of them are expat. And it's funny because with the Germans one, I still speak English, even if I speak German. Besides when it's like group context and everyone is German.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have I would say but the German one, they are my friends. They are like expats in the end. It's like they have the same kind of dynamics and everything.
And do you think, like it's the being open-minded and feeling accepted kind of also, like that might be challenging sometimes?
Yes, it's a bit challenging. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a psychologist.
Yes.
How do you think moving abroad impacts our emotional needs for connection and friendships?
So it's a very interesting question.
Thank you for bothering me.
You gave me you did a super professional now question, very tricky. Yeah. So I think it's very interesting because obviously it's impacting you by being an immigrant in the end, and there is this concept of minority stress, which is well, we're not having the same challenges that people that were born in this country have. Firstly, because of the language barrier, obviously cultural barrier. Even if you are from the EU, Germany is a very specific country with very different kind of dynamics. Of course, France and Italy are people think Spain and Italy are similar, but in the end, I'm the north of Italy and France are the same basically. I don't want to say they're the same, but the dynamics are very similar.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you think about an immigrant, what is facing here in Germany, let's say specifically here, for sure is adapting to their rules also. I don't know, and attentions for this, you have to take care about following the rules and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, this challenging, I really it's it's a lot of stress of behaving accordingly.
Yeah, I mean,
how they want.
I feel it, and I also feel like the people who are immigrants or expats or however we want to call it, they're putting a lot of pressure on you should speak German because they're gonna fuck you over if you don't speak German. They're gonna talk on your back. They're gonna blah blah blah. More than the actual German. The actual German are you fucking good if you don't speak German. It's okay, and they're probably trying to be a bit more open minded and to find this but it's still challenging and.
Yeah, but possibly other people expats tell you this, or immigrants tell you this because they have been living it too. So it comes from a place of experiences that probably they have been treated poorly sometimes. And so I would say the general population here in Berlin, the Germans are very cool and very nice, but there are still of course
of
certain
course, everywhere actually.
Yeah,
but clearly I think you inside of you, I think the need for a community became even more strong.
Yes.
When you move abroad, because you kind of look for your people, but not necessarily the people who looks like you, but feels like you or relate to your story a little bit too. That's how I feel we're connected so well, because
100%.
it's not that if we were living in the same city we would have not been friends. I think we would have been friends, but our need for finding the people that looks like us somewhere else is very
enhanced.
Yeah, and I feel we can also fight the same problems and all of that.
And also find similar activities that we want to do.
Yeah,
that's also the thing. We have similar interests and everything. But for me, for example, this came later because at the beginning, I feel I connected more with people. For example, if I think about the people I met at the very beginning, I didn't connect like this. It's so interesting, right? I was connecting more having deep talks, which were not connected to, oh, I really like to do ceramics. I really like to do pottery. Oh, I want to discover how is pole dance. Oh, I want to cook something special,
Basically, all of our activities.
Yes, exactly. Our hobbies are the same.
Yeah.
And I feel with my friends at the beginning, we have not so many hobbies in common.
Barely.
Right?
If I look back, actually, I think the first people I've met in Berlin, I connected with them to partying.
Yes, yeah, I didn't.
That was
do
like
that
our
experience,
common
but
hobby.
I had a phase where I also connected like that. I had a phase in Berlin also like this.
I felt like it was alcohol and going out.
Yeah.
And meeting even on Sunday and like having a beer.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that would be everyday things. And
Yeah.
we were young enough to feel like it was okay. But along the way, I lost the. I mean, I still have this.
Yeah.
But it's first it would be the person, and then we go party and we go out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different
because that
dynamic.
makes sense. But yeah, it doesn't start with the. I'd say I hope. Like, I mean, I know it's not, but like,
I mean, in some cases it can happen.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
I mean,
of course, but it's not more the normal modality.
Completely. And I mean, I'm wondering because I'm like, so we have different type of friends around us, right? And I'm wondering, who do you think, like, what type of friend do you think you are? Or like, do you think you're different, like, with everyone, kind of?
Oh god, that's funny. Okay, I will try to say it, and then you should like tell me what you think about it, because I'm so the feedback I've been receiving from my friends, because only the one at the very beginning, like the one that I met at the very beginning, then they gave me a feedback. They said to me that I'm a little bit like not the diva, but sometimes, for example, Daniela calls me like the Barbie, like the Barbie that is always like trying to come overdressed also at normal like events. And I'm like, no, really, I don't see that. I just put together some nice outfits sometimes. Or like she said that I'm a attention seeking person, but at the same time, I'm very empathetic and kind. But sometimes I have horrible moods. And yeah, I'm like ups and downs. I don't know, like this kind of like, sometimes I'm over socializing, and sometimes I'm totally like, no, fuck it, I'm staying home and sleeping. Bye bye. I don't know. She said like I have moods, of course, connected to my cycle. Like when I'm PMSing, I'm very like distant to everyone, which is normal. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. She described it like this, and then I noticed that other people were like resonating with how she was describing it. What do you think?
It's funny because I would have not chose to describe you for how you're. I wouldn't describe you for like your. How do I say this?
Say it in French.
No, but like not your personality trait, but like how much I feel like who you are to me, kind of. This is how I would describe you. So for me, I would say you're someone I can go talk to. Like you're very easy to talk to, and you're someone that I know will understand. And like sometimes even when I'm upset about something and I go to you, I think you're gonna be on my side, even without knowing this. And sometimes I have to defend the other person quickly. Yes. But I think you're someone that is super open-minded that I can talk to and is very emotionally intelligent. So I know that whenever I'm going to bring up something, you're going to be someone who understands. And I know you're going to be someone who would need help and is not afraid to ask for help. Yeah. Which feels nice because I also feel like I can bring something to your life. It's not only I feel like I can go to you and then I dump all my feelings and then goodbye. It's like it's going to be reciprocate. Like it's going to be in both sense, in both ways. So that feels amazing. And I think whenever I find a cute outfit, cute clothes, whatever, I know I can send it to you.
That's very cute.
And also when I have a creative idea, like ceramics, painting, whatever, DIY stuff, I know you're going to be down. So that feels nice. I feel like you're going to be up for things. And I also feel like I could come and ring your doorbell and you would open the door.
Yeah, obviously, always. Yeah.
And also you have the nicest dog, and I feel like I can chill with both of you.
I know.
So this is also something
that's very nice.
And it's not like for me at the beginning when I met you, I'm always like, I think when I met a friend, especially a girlfriend, I'd say, because I know I'm going to connect deeper than with a guy. I'm always a bit slow and careful and a bit like, but sometimes it just makes sense. And I think sometimes we have to go above our fears and like really keep in because this is how you create deep connections. And now I'm grateful that I have you as a friend because I know that to meet you, I had to step out of my comfort zone with like, okay, I have my group of friends, but like what stops me from, meeting other people?
I know what you mean. Like that's for me, it's also the point. At first, thank you very much for the description. It was amazing. I think you should call Daniela and tell her like, hey, we have the same ideas, but I think you expressed it in a mean way. She would love to hear this now. But I have a very similar like it's so similar. I feel the same about what you said, because I also had previously a group of friends, and now it's destroyed because I mean, you know,
different circumstances.
Yeah, also the breakup and everything. Like it was like, and so yeah, I feel like, I don't know. For me at that time was also very like, oh my God, I have my group of friends. I love them. I see them every week. And that's enough. It was really a place of belonging. And then after the breakup, of course, the group of friends divided. Like, let's say the girls went to my side more or less. I don't want to say the boys stay like neutral, whatever, but it was like very clear, the cut. And so after this, it was super interesting because I felt more like, okay, let's get out of my comfort zone. And then it's where I contacted you again, and I met new people, like a lot of new people. I created new connections and everything. And now I'm realizing, oh, wow, how do I keep up with everyone? Because I find everyone extremely fascinating and interesting, but they're not like, sometimes I have friends that are not in the, let's say now I have another little group, and it's not in the core group, but I feel like I like so many of my friends, and I want to spend with all of them time of quality time. And then in the end, we have just 1 week.
It's so fucking hard to keep
How
up
do
with
you do?
everything.
Like, because then, as you said, like 1 hour of traveling and everything, like it's very realistic in Berlin that you take 1 hour to go and 1 hour to go back. And I don't know why. All of my friends, actually, it's funny because all of my friends that I see like one by one, usually they're in freaking Friedrichshain or like in also Weissensee. It's so annoying, and it's so far away from me. For example,
for context, is like north of Berlin, and you live south of Berlin.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
put it that way.
Sorry, you're right.
I'm like, for all our listeners who don't live in Berlin. No, but that's like we can talk about this a bit like more in detail of like how to keep up with like the track and everything. But
so difficult.
Definitely going out of your comfort zone and contacting people, because I feel like, especially breakups, because we both had breakups that like define new path and new way of like meeting people and everything. I think my closest girlfriends, I either met them in my breakups or in their breakups.
That's very interesting.
Because you always have this moment where like one of us feel a bit weaker.
Yes.
Or like, you know, more like fragile, and you want to be there for that person. Even if you don't know them. The first thing I said to you when you told me about the breakup, I said, do you want to go for a drink?
Yeah, I remember.
Which I would have probably not said if it was, I mean, I wish, like, I kind of want to think that I would have said that, but maybe I was like, oh my God, I've been there and I want to be here for you. Even though, you know.
It's true. It's a very nice reflection. You're right, though. Like, I'm thinking about it a lot, and actually, it's true. It's like, it's a lot of empathy because, you know, you've been through that too.
Yeah.
And then you want to be there for your girlfriend.
And you connect as a woman more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like female friendships, and how much they're like hard to sometimes maintain, or like in your late 20s, 30s, to meet and to build this connection. And also, especially when you have friends around you who have like their best friend, childhood girl friend from like a long time. And so you're like, you cannot find this anymore, but that's not true. But you need to find ways to connect. And I think it goes through passion, hobbies, but also shared experiences like breakups or job, whatever. Like could be anything really that you're connecting through.
Yeah, it's so true. You're right. Now I'm thinking, now I have like a little bit of a moment where I'm spacing out because I was thinking, whoa, it's true, actually. Or like,
do you relate to that? Like, do you feel like there's some friends you gain or lost because of?
Oh yeah, 100%. For example, it's interesting, like talking about female or male friendships. I feel like after this last breakup, sorry to all my male friends, I don't want to be mean, but I feel like I really took a step away. Like, I don't know why. I felt I needed some female presence, and I feel more comfortable. And we all share similar experiences here in Berlin. And not only in Berlin, like also back home. Like, I feel like every woman or like, person that I know that is a female, like, I don't know, I feel like they all more or less experience the same.
Yeah. And I do feel like when your room, I mean, this is something that has been said forever, but like when you're a room full of women, the energy is very different than when one man enter.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's not necessarily because of the guy. It could be a super amazing guy, you know, but like something became performative.
Yes,
The second guy enter a room full of women.
Also performative, maybe of justifying like something that is happening to you as experience as a woman. For example, let's talk about pain. For example, oh, I'm having pain and stuff like this. If there is a man that has never had this kind of pain, then you have to be performative to be like listened to. And it's like, it's actually very like, it's not the same. Like if it's a woman, like, okay, maybe some women have never experienced menstrual pain, but you know what it means to have menstruation.
It's like we don't have to over-explain some subject. Sometimes it just flows, and then we're like, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Exactly.
You know? And we validate our feelings and everything. Yeah. And it doesn't mean like we're close up to any other opinions.
Yeah.
It just means you feel safe enough to talk about experiences and not to over focus on like explaining why you feel this way, but like to go straight to the point and like trying to actually get some validation with your feelings and everything without having the burden of like
having to prove that actually your pain is real and that's performative.
Yeah.
That's literally performative. Yeah, you're right.
That's very...
Yeah.
Okay, I have other questions for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, going back to the... Is it psychotherapist?
If I'm a
psychologist.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not a psychotherapist, but actually, I'm actually a neuroscientist, even like.
Yeah, I want to take like this from your perspective, like from this point of view. What are some common feelings people experience when they're struggling to make friends in a new country?
Like loneliness. Yeah, definitely. Like it's obvious. Like maybe hopeless. Also hopelessness. How do you say hopelessness? Being misunderstood, or like feeling also like, I think, a lot of melancholy that, like, you know, like a tendency is that also often can happen, or like, I mean, I can't generalize too much. I haven't read studies about this, but I can, like, through the experience that I've been having, like as a psychologist, I've been noticing that then there is this like tendency to over romanticizing like how it was back home. Even if most of people that moved here is like, because we didn't like also how it was home, back home. But then you tend to over romanticizing, like saying, oh my God, I have all these friends and all these dynamics and this. Now when you go back home, you actually realize actually there are reasons why I left. And so like, then it's like, there's not, and it's normal. It's like, it's a totally normal like dynamic. But I feel like if you do not feel then what you were looking for, like if you don't find what you were looking for example, new connections, new friendships, then you tend to over idealize or idealize a friendship that you had back home. And then you go back home, you're like, oh gosh, this friendship is actually crap. So there was also, I mean,
even if the friendship are great back home, I think you moved for a reason. Maybe you had a personal challenge. Maybe you moved because you wanted to explore. Maybe, and you have to give it time for sure. But I think you have this syndrome, like when everyone goes home for Christmas, and they're like, "Oh, I understand why I left." And it's not that it's that bad, and it can be bad for some people, but like it's not that it's necessarily that bad. It's like you understand again why you made the choice to leave, and like why it's so 100%. Worth it to push through again and again and again and try to. And there's also one thing is like when you move from home for the first time, I think nowhere is home ever again.
Nowhere. Yes, that's also the point. Like also one big things that you can challenge then is like you don't belong. You don't belong because you stay here and you're like, I'm not enough German to fit in, or there are certain things in their culture and their dynamics which I don't like. That's it. And I would never feel like I'm fully home here. But then you go home and you lost part of your identity. Because like life back home went ahead and you were not there when everything was growing and changing. And so you feel like suspended in these two worlds.
That is so
big
true.
challenge. And that's also like a lot with friendship in the end. Like it can be connected also to that. It's not easy, like, because you go back home and you feel like, oh my God, I love you so much, but what happened in between also?
You know what's crazy, actually? I think it's a bit different for me, but like the fact that both my parents are not French, people never saw me necessarily as French in France. I mean, when I made friends, they didn't like put me in the box, but like they were like, "Oh, no, but you're not French friend. Where are you from?" and everything. Which then switched, because when I came to Germany, people are like, "You're so French." And they're like telling me how French I am. Which is
so
like
funny.
So I never thought, like, I mean, I'm not gonna like whatever. It was not so bad, but like, as growing up, I always wanted to feel French, and I always felt like I had to prove that I was French enough. But moving to Germany, like, I'm not even fighting about this anymore. Like, people are like, "You're so fucking French."
That's
and like,
so interesting.
yeah. So I never felt like the 100% belonging, but I think it's something you're like.
But your identity here has been like, let's say,
It's
confirmed what you wanted to be.
Yes, I had an identity confirmation in Germany.
That's so interesting.
And like, at the same time, I'm also trying to advocate for my, roots at the same time. But like, it's almost like less relevant than it was in France, for example.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
So it's fun. Like, I'm more proud here to overly express those than I was in France, because in France I was trying to fight for being French.
That's so interesting.
Which is crazy, you know?
Yeah, it is crazy, actually. So there is actually a positive side. Like, you can find a little bit more of your identity here. It's not actually, I mean, my experience is very different because actually I'm like Italian, also from Italian parents, but it's funny because I can relate to what you're saying. Because here everyone tells me like, no, I mean, everyone thinks I'm actually Lebanese or Syrian when I walk in the streets, but then when they talk to me, or anything, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so Italian." And then I'm like, actually, sometimes I have to be honest, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I'm so comfortable in the identity.
It makes you proud, and like, proud as if you were proud in Italy to be Italian. It would be weird.
Yes.
Like, if I would
nationalistic, like crazy. But it's interesting because when you were, you wanted to be. That's very interesting. But have you ever been proud? Then, like, here also, like, of
being French?
No, like, of being, like, for example, like, yeah, of being French. Have you ever been proud, actually?
I mean, in Germany, when people like talk about clothes, food, whatever, they're like, "Oh, she knows better. She's French." I'm like, of course I'm proud. But when I'm in France, I'm like, the system could be better, and blah, blah, blah. Of course, I pinpoint the thing that I know. Once we're all between French people, I'm like, let's face it, it's like so many things are wrong, you know? But when someone are like, "Oh my God, she's French," I'm like, yeah, it's true. You know, it's like
same for me. It's the same. When I'm back home, I'm like, as soon as my mom is telling me like something good about Italy, I'm like, ugh, disgusting.
Germany is so much better. Like, everything works there.
Yes,
it's not true.
Yeah,
I don't know why we have this like we check in and check out too quickly about like.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious to think about.
There's not like a constant point where you say like, oh, Germany is like, or Italy or France. Like, it's always changing based on where you are.
Yeah.
So funny.
I want to go back to the feeling of loneliness, and I want to ask you if you think like the subject of like loneliness is really taboo in like adult friendships and everything. You think people don't talk about it enough and like get isolated, or?
So that's a very interesting topic. I mean, again, I have to think about my experiences, and I feel like sometimes like my perception of what loneliness is different than what people live as loneliness. Because, for example, like I know some people like having like, or let's say, I don't know if I want to speak so, but I don't know if the person will feel comfortable. But let's say in general, like I know people that spend not so much time together with other people, so they're not socially very active, but they're not suffering about it. So
because they chose to.
When
it's a choice,
then it's not loneliness. It's just being comfortable being alone. Loneliness, that's for sure. There is a taboo. Luckily, I don't know someone that is openly feeling like that. Also, in my personal like psychological experience, experiences with clients, I don't know anyone, but in general I can imagine like, yeah, it's a big taboo actually. Maybe no one is telling it.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
I mean,
they're saying it.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are 100% surrounded with other people and feel lonely.
Yes.
Because they don't feel this deep connection with people. They don't grasp like this kind of like friendship they had back home, or like with people who speak the same languages as them, or like stuff like this. But I know some people who openly said, "Oh, I felt lonely this week," or like.
Okay, so it's a transitional emotion or feelings. Yeah, then yes, definitely. Have you ever felt it?
Lonely, yes, for sure, for sure. I know exactly what it feels like. I think I felt this in Germany. Actually, I think the reason why now I have quality friends, I would say, or like a good group, is because I accepted that I felt this way.
Yes.
And once you accept it, you're ready to make a change. And I think I did chase the friendships I wanted to have. I did journal about the type of friendship I wanted to have.
That's so nice.
I wanted to be very intentional, yeah, about it. And I wanted to not just like accept that I would be surrounded with people who don't 100% fulfill me. I don't think like one or two people can do everything for you. So like you need to broaden your horizon and like to find the people that will connect you to do the things that you actually want to do. For example, if we wanted to be creative, then you have to find creative friends. If you want to do whatever sport, you need to find sporty people. Like, you know, it's like we have
the same purpose. Like,
yeah. And I think I did somehow did find some people for each things, and that removed this feeling of loneliness. And I think I still have a hard time reaching out when I really struggle, meaning if I feel very low and everything, to actually reach, who do I reach out to?
Yes.
And how do not feel like a burden, and who is ready to listen, and who, you know, this is like sometimes a bit tough.
Yeah. Why do you think that you have this? Like, do you feel like you had it only here in Berlin, or it was always like this?
I think it depends. It depends on moment. Like if I feel very close to someone, I think it's easy for me to let it flow and like just be like, oh my god, today I feel like shit, whatever. But if I feel like I've been in the transition period where like I don't feel necessarily that I've been talking to someone every day or whatever, then it's harder to be like reaching out to say, hey, I've been feeling low. But I also don't reach out to people I spend my whole time with. I usually want to reach out to people I don't see that often for when I'm struggling, because I feel like we're so disconnected from from each other's life. It's easier to talk about like our big struggle and to have a lot of step back, and to be able to give each other great advices.
That's very, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know, because I have some, now I can even relate, because I know exactly who I would call like back home, and like, the three girls, like they know also if they listen to the
people
podcast.
from home and be like, hey, can I call you today? I had a shitty day. And they're like, they have no idea who the fuck you're talking about, but they're like listening, and then they give you great advice, and they remind you who you were before, or they remind you of like what they know about you that you forget along the way.
True, 100%. Yeah, and they also have a fresh new perspective, because also sometimes you have to maybe over clarify certain dynamics here in Germany. Like, oh my god, you know, I have to do the Steuererklärung. What is the Steuererklärung? Oh, I have to explain to you what it is, like, and everything. So it's actually like also giving a context which is very clear.
Yeah.
And maybe for some people here, like it's obvious, but then some details are missing.
But sometimes also, because I think when you move abroad, you create yourself some kind of, you don't have another personality, but you kind of create another persona.
Oh, yeah.
And then whatever your friend who knows you here put into your head, you're kind of believing it.
Yes.
And I have those conversations sometimes with like friends from back home who I see from time to time. And sometimes they cheer me up way more than people I know here, just because they're like, you're not like this. Don't get stuck in this, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I know what you mean.
And I'm like, if I didn't have this person, I would get lost in my own, because we are like, you know, people say we're like the 5 people we hang out with the most.
Yeah.
So at some point, it kind of change your point of view on yourself as well, you know, to hang out with certain type of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you say you're satisfied with like your circle in Berlin right now?
Yes, I'm extremely happy. I'm not satisfied about, or I'm not happy about not having the possibility to see the people more, because I really I love all of my friends right now. I feel like in a space where I'm like so happy, and I feel like all of you give me so much, and I just wished I have more quality time sometimes. It's just like the only problem, like, because really like I know my current partner would say like they are acquaintances, not friends, but for me, no. For me, everyone has a special characteristic or something. Like I do something special with them, and I feel like I am so happy with all of them. I would say like it's not like 30 people, but I would say at least 10 or 12 that are very close to me.
I mean, if you're selective, I do think you can call them friends, and like wanting to spend special moment with people, even though if it's not like every day, every week, sometimes not even every month.
I know, but we were traveling a lot, so let's be honest.
No, but I mean, it's not because those doesn't happen that often that you wouldn't qualify them as friends.
No, exactly. But I at one point I remember that I was taking, actually, like, it was funny because, you know, I needed some mental clarity. Maybe you probably did the same. Now you let me know. And I just wrote a list of people that I really like, felt like I am deeply connected with, and I really want to build and maintain the relationship and invest. Also because, like, sometimes, you know, like, there's not, like, you feel great with some people, but then there's not the flow. You know this?
I know exactly what you mean.
And sometimes I'm like,
it's hard to not give it a try.
It's so hard.
A lot of try, I mean.
know. I'm the same. I give a lot of tries, but then at one point I'm like, now listen, I have already like this amazing friends, and I don't know why would I put so much effort.
I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on like wanting to have the best friendship with people, and like for them to elevate us and everything. But I think at some point there's people who naturally fall into places, into those friends that you don't have to talk to every day. You don't have to see them every day, and you don't even have to see them alone.
Yes, I know. But I love, for example, I love good group dynamics. And this is sometimes what I wished for, and I cannot find it right now at all. Because
this is the hardest to maintain and have.
This is so hard. And I remember that I always try to push everyone together. And for example, Aline and Daniela, they would listen to this podcast and they will hate me because I always try to push them. I can say, let's go out with it. And then I see their faces and they're like, I hate you. And I already realized that they're not happy in the context. And I don't know, it's a bit difficult. It would be easier. Like if everyone is like, let's go.
When you have a lot of friends, or at least when you try to like meet with everyone, the best thing would be if everyone could gather in a room and then you could just like walk around and like make quality time with everyone and hope for the best, that they also make new friends.
Exactly. But this is what I'm going to do for my birthday.
Yes. Very true.
Exactly.
I'm excited, actually. I think I've met some friends recently and went to their birthday and like met other friends, and I was like, that's such a great way of meeting people, because and sometimes you connect with people like way more than the original person, but not in the way that you want to exclude them, but like you're like, that makes so much sense because we like the same person in common, so like we're gonna connect to a different way. But like
like Aline and Daniela did, because in the end they went into a pseudo relationship when they met through me.
But that's amazing too. I love to know that I've made like that people met through me.
It's amazing. But it makes sense also.
And I don't care that they do their lives, and I don't care that they became friends and I'm not in the picture. Like I'm genuinely happy for them.
Me too. It's like just like so nice because it makes sense. But no, at my birthday, I mean, you know, it's like girls only.
But I think it's such a good initiative too, because sometimes the dynamic is just very different,
as we were saying. And I really want, I think like all the girls that I'm having right now in my life, they're so amazing, and somehow you all match together. That's why I think
that's in your head. I'm joking.
No, you will see.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, and you will see like it just makes sense.
I really find joy in like social interaction and meeting new people. Like this is my source of energy. And right now, I mean, I'm in a phase where I feel a bit socially drained because I've been moving around so much. But I do feel like as soon as I would stay a week without seeing anyone, I'll be like, I have to.
Totally.
But I need to do it in a way that like chill me down and like I really can enjoy each and every one. Otherwise, I will feel like I'm not giving enough.
Yeah, it's like
to, you know, and I'm not like, oh my God, I have 10,000 friends, but I do feel like I met new people that now make me feel like, okay, I have such a good core group of people that surround me, and I'm so lucky, and I want to preserve that. And sometimes it's okay if you disappear for a week or two. I think people are going to be more than fine, and they're going to be around, and everyone has their life, actually. It's just
because you created the flow, though. Like, you know that sometimes like, you cannot be always over socializing. So it's all good also to not like being socializing, like over socializing.
100%.
Like for weeks, and then you go back and it's all good.
100%.
We also, unfortunately, we're adults.
Unfortunately, we're not teenagers anymore.
No,
it's so true. I mean, this is the like,
it's so hard to.
I never thought that would be
everything.
and I never thought I would be at the point of my life where I have to literally look at my calendar.
Yes.
I literally check my calendar now. It became real.
Listen, I have like one of Daria, she will know also, because I want to name all the girls. Now she will know. I mean, she loves to plan, and she's always asking me in advance, like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Okay, this day you can. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, I have to take my calendar now and check, and then I have to write her name. I mean, it's amazing. But
that can be stressful because sometimes we're craving spontaneous things, but sometimes we're craving plans.
Yes.
How, like, navigating both is such a hassle.
Yeah, I know.
I tell you.
Yeah. Lately, I'm not very spontaneous. I'm very happy to plan.
If you have a partner on top of all of this,
it's impossible.
And a job.
I know. And a dog.
And a dog. Goodbye.
I know.
The stress we have is so privileged.
I know. Also, like, I wanted to say, like, it's also a privileged stress, but it's also like, it's just that you want to not perform, but to be present for everyone, or for also for this little creature here. Like, you know, she needs to walk a lot, this girl here.
And it's how, like, I mean, meeting with friends who have dogs, meeting with friends who are willing to be with your dog, stuff like this also is valuable.
Yes.
I mean, we need people who actually makes our life easier. We don't want to have like those hardest friendship to maintain. Like, let's be realistic. Like, we're not gonna try. I mean, we're gonna have 1 or 2 of those, but like,
not all.
Realistically, we need people who makes our lives easier.
Yeah, I know.
Or who understand at least.
100%. Who are there and they're not judging, and they're just going also with the flow a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. This is very. What do you think helped you the most in creating meaningful connection in Berlin? Like abroad in general, but let's talk about Berlin.
I will really divide probably like the experience in Berlin in 2 parts, because I feel like at the beginning, what helped me the most was possibly like the same purpose. For example, like going to the same uni. And so have to, like, I don't know, write the homeworks or like write exams and everything. Like, I feel like this for me was like very, like, at least with the first friendship that I had here, we were sharing the same experiences and everything. Like, after that, it was not work, because, you know, like, I mainly work, like, I changed a lot of jobs, and also like, or I work like by myself, so alone. And for me now, it's more like, okay, we have similar interests, or like we have similar, like, interests, hobbies, or like mainly for hobbies, I would say, or like also like how we see life, because of course, like, it's like we can have deep talks and everything. It's not that I can get friends with whoever likes to go to do pottery. Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. But it's also like, I feel like this is what connects me the most, like the deep talk, the understanding, similar taste also. Now it's more about the aesthetics, the taste, what we like to do. Like, for example, we like to cook incredibly nice, to discover new recipes, like to go to the museum, to go to art galleries. Oh my God, like, I'm connecting so much with girls that wants to go and see art also. It's like insane. You just dress up super cool. You think you're in Sex in the City, and you just go there.
It's so true. I think it's little stuff.
Yes.
It's like when a coffee shop like highlights your city. Like, you know, it's like small stuff.
Yeah, it's not anymore for me like this purpose of like, oh my God, we have to write the homework, or like we have to do something. But it's like more
talking about like homework, for example. How do you think like the friendship we build now compared to like as adults compared to when we're children or like adolescent? Like,
we're trying probably to connect also on lightness a little bit. Like we do activities that bring us like I don't know. Like, of course, there is also all the depth. So because if something happens, I want my friends to be there, accordingly also to their availabilities, obviously. But at the same time, it's also like, how nice is to think like, okay, I'm working or I'm doing all my things, and then we go to ceramics. Oh my God, we go to a thrift shop. Something like that.
Do you feel like then when you were a child, you were like looking for those also light connection, and like you're trying to replicate those in your adult life?
Probably, yes. Yes.
I don't remember how I.
But to be honest, I also don't remember how I made friendship before. Like, I don't know. Now it's different. now it's definitely like this last years particularly, because I feel like that there is this, like, for example, from my side, this needs also of like not just lightness to be like lightheaded, but just to also like do activities that really enrich you, like, and you know that you love them. Like, otherwise, when are you going to be creative? Like,
Yeah.
if you keep on like surrounding yourself by people that do not have this interest.
I think now, like what we're saying, like it's like we're craving a bit more authenticity, but I think as a teenager, it was more like, who are cool, who is cool,
Yeah,
who can
who's the
lift me
cool?
up, who
Yes,
can,
exactly.
you're looking
It's so
for
different.
validation, reassurance. I mean, for sure, there is some kind of ways that now we're still looking for people that looks like us, or like that we want to feel that we're sharing something that's gonna actually lift us
Yeah.
up. But like authenticity, I think, is like at the center of
Yeah.
everything. And people that we can genuinely have conversation with. Like, I don't care that you're cool or you're going out anymore.
100%. Yeah, totally. Like, I have such different variety of friends. Some that are going on Sundays to Berghain, or like some others are like, no, fuck no, I'm never going to a club, and I don't care. But also, I was thinking a lot about, like, you know, late 20s, beginning 30s. You're definitely more confident about your passions. So you know, for example, what you like to do, and then in the end, you know that you don't want to time and keep on doing like stuffs or like activities that do not fulfill you 100%.
Yeah.
So maybe also like doing friendship now is like, okay, how do I also make this, like, for example, do my pottery class or whatever, and at the same time be together like with a friend. So you try to combine.
Yeah.
Okay, this person also has the same passion, so maybe we're going to understand each other very good. And it's like, maybe it's like also because we have limited time and everything.
Yeah.
So the purpose is still like, there is still a friendship with a purpose.
Yeah. We're trying to combine activities. Like before, we were just walking in the mall and like have an ice cream and then buy some rings at Claire's, and then that was like fucking. That was such a good afternoon, though.
Yes, and it's so precise. This image, I can totally see that. Yeah.
Do you think you have outgrown some friendship though here, like in Berlin?
Oh gosh, I hope this.
I mean, you don't have to mention any names. You don't have to mention any stories. I'm just wondering, like, you did feel like, I mean, you've been here for 10 years. So in 10 years, there's a lot of things, like your whole 20s, you were here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for sure you have gone
a lot of friendships. Particularly, you know, what's interesting is like, I feel like there was, besides the breaks up and everything, the worst for me has been when I've been really like explicitly talking about, hey, you know what, I'm very interested into fashion. And this like was perceived as so superficial by many people, or like, hey, I want to go, I had phases where I wanted to go partying or stuff like this. Maybe I was like doing it a lot, I don't know, but then it really like, I don't know, I feel like some people really didn't take it good, or like they thought we were on a very different kind of time, or like kind of like, yeah, definitely, and the friendship fell apart. And it's okay. I mean, like, I don't feel any anger. I don't feel like I've been hurt so much here in Berlin. And the friendships, no, not that, no. We just took like different paths, or like we were not understanding each other very good anymore. It's sad, but it happens.
Yeah. I feel like for me, the breakup was the main point of like why you're losing some friends. But there was also a conscious choice to not make it difficult for the other person.
Yeah.
You know, taking a step back from some friends and everything, or some people moving away, like moving to another country, going back home, whatever. This was like a thing. But mainly I've kept my friend that was who I came here with, or like that I had from the beginning. Most of them, actually. I think.
That's super nice.
Or at least we have zero, like, if we see each other, we're going to be like, oh my God, it's been so long and everything.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And I think it's because maybe I wasn't making a big deal out of it. So in both way, like, I was never their best friend, so we could never be enemies. You know what I mean?
Yes.
From the beginning. And I think I had ups and downs with my friends that I know forever, but like, that's like life, and we're navigating it. I mean, that's friendships, I would say.
Yeah, totally. But you know, when you do connect with people, like, for example, I remember like I was connecting a lot, like more like in a nerdy way. Like, for example, oh, we're like neuroscience and we're like this and that. And then you bring to the table, actually, I also love fashion too. And they're like, what? I was like, what? I thought you were smart. Like, you know, there is sometimes, unfortunately, in science, I would say, or like in very hyper academic environments, like a little bit of judgment towards like, if you really talk about things that are like, I don't know. Yeah, like you can say that you really like to paint, but you can't say that you like fashion. I'm like, come on, people. And when I started to be a little bit more curated and talking a little bit more about this and that, is like perceived as very superficial, as like, come on, you want to be in the center of attention, which is really not the case. So I felt like for me that was also like a little bit of a shift, like try to be like also sharing this kind of interest and passion in like more over academic environment.
But when this happened, do you feel like breaking kind of like contact and taking distance, or do you think like, okay, I need to rewire the way I'm seeing those friendships? Those friendships are going to be my academic friends, and then those ones are going to be my outside, like, you know what I mean? Do you categorize them, like, or do you take a step back and you just like be like, I'm going to find someone who is everything?
I feel like eventually the friendship fell apart. Like, it was not a categorization. With some of them, they literally took and said like, sorry, I need to take like some step, or like they
From
were like,
them.
yeah, most of the time. But for some other, I also noticed at one point, like, I mean, some I'm still like in contact in very good ways, but I noticed also that what we want to do in our daily activities is like, it's not corresponding, like zero, or like it's like really not anymore like a match, I would say. So with some, I feel like it was like a bit brutal, the end, and it was more like, oh, you're a bit superficial, maybe I don't understand. And I felt like I had to over justify myself why I liked even this other thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do. With others, like eventually I feel like we just are in good contact, but we're not as close as before. But it's okay. I mean, it's still like, we still are in good contact. So yeah.
Talking about this, I wonder if you can answer this. Like, do you think like deep friendship can offer similar like emotional support that romantic relationship can bring?
100%. 100%. That's a very good point, because I think I was talking to someone about it like lately. I don't remember, like, but this concept of having like your partner to fulfill all your needs is so unrealistic. And I'm so happy that we're talking about this, because it's like this also what we were talking like before when we were having dinner, which is like about this over romanticizing your relationship, which is like, it's really like unhealthy in the end. And also thinking that your partner can have all the needs and be emotionally supportive for everything. No. Like, I cannot call like, you know, like I cannot even imagine like calling like my current partner and say like, oh my God, you know what? This happened. Like, do you want to come and do the nails with me and stuff? And like, and not feeling like he's emotionally supportive for this. And if I will call you,
We'll
be
find
like,
a solution.
Oh my God. Yes, we'll find a solution. That would be his answer. It's like, then cut your nails. We don't need to go to the nail salon. Just cut them. It would be like that. But I feel like I could share this with my girlfriends and like having the emotional response that I expect. So the enthusiasm that I would expect from someone I'm sharing this information with. Like, it doesn't have always to be. Yeah. And I think like, I mean, it's so freeing also.
I think the more I experience also romantic relationship, the more I put them in the different category in my head.
Yeah.
And I think especially in the last year, I've like created so much space for like friendship that like everything kind of balance itself out. And like you feel way more connected to people, because you don't assume that one person will do that job, because you know you have 20 other person who can maintain that, like.
Yeah, for example, it's true. For example, I know I can call you for anything creative. I know, for example, if I don't know, I know like in my friendship also, like who to do what. And like also like my partner is like maybe I'm going to do like nice, like, I don't know, also creative projects, but of a different kind.
You just want them to be open-minded enough to want to try things with you sometimes, but you don't need them to be that dedicated person that you're gonna always do that with.
Exactly. I mean, he went with me once to do ceramics, but I cannot expect him to come all the time to do what I like to do. Like, it's not his, like his purpose, like, or like, I don't know, it is the same.
It's so important, I think, to have the right people to be able to
and like expect also the emotional support or response. Like, it's different, like we have different people in our lives, and I feel like this is like going to be like, it's unrealistic. And of course, friendship can give you the same emotional support and relationship, definitely.
Do you feel like your identity changed since you moved to Berlin?
Yes, definitely it did. I mean, the core identity stayed, but the details changed a lot. I feel like I am definitely, again, it's like this topic about like creativity and like more like connection to the fashion world and everything, not in a superficial way, but I see it also as a comforting place where I can say like, okay, I can dress this and that and look at myself in the mirror and recognize who I am.
Maybe those things justify where you come from. Whereas like we're from like Paris and Milano, two cities where like it's not even a subject somehow. It's like it's there.
It's obvious,
And I think in Berlin, especially because there's a lot of expats and you meet a lot of people from different places, they will notice that about you and you make it your personality.
Yes, exactly. But that then became also the identity. And it's also what connects, even if it's funny, because when I go back to Milano or like Monza, where my parents are, I noticed that the fashion is terrible. Like not in Milano, but in the suburbs area. I find it extremely boring. When I'm here in Berlin and I see young people are like, whoa, everyone is so fascinating. So like, why am I making my identity now with like Italian fashion? It's like not even really my identity. But on a deeper way, I definitely feel like the core like are still there. My identity really didn't change so much because maybe it became like, let's say, more decorated or like with more details or like more like very much. It's more about my age, I feel, than where I am. Like, it's insane. Like, the experiences that you bring with you when you grow up, I feel like particularly I'm very happy to be in my early 30s. I feel like with my identity, I'm very, very happy. So I know what I like and I know what I want to do. So it's amazing.
But there's also this thing of like wanting to have growth and change within you, coming with age and everything.
Yeah.
But like when we were back at home, we have our habits, or we grew up with habits, and we didn't have to prove necessarily what we were, or like trying new things felt like maybe harder sometimes, but like more easy.
Yeah.
And I feel like coming to a city that you don't know, or like you're trying to get to know or trying to make a room for yourself here, it's like you're gonna try to find a hobby that's gonna define you. So you're gonna meet your people. And for me, it was really like some kind of affirming that this is my city, was like to look for the things that will make me happy here.
And the easy accessibility to that also, because I feel like Berlin is incredible for this. I mean, it has also like the downsides, but how easy is to access like whatever you want to do, like with Urban Sport Club, or like there is whatever collective or whatever kind of art. You just need to look, okay, the city is huge. It's a bit difficult sometimes to do really everything you want in 1 week, but the possibilities are out there. For anything.
They are, but it's hard sometimes to. So for me, I know that I value a lot in my friendship the fact that they can sometimes hold my hand and show me around. Like I know that I would have not been that much into sport if some of my friends didn't like showed me how easy and how it was also for me. You know, because I had those core beliefs that maybe I'm not a sport person, maybe I'm not an artsy person enough, maybe blah blah blah. And like even when you show me like the pole dance class or like the ceramic class, in my head I'm like, I could also do that. And like going twice already affirmed in me that I was that person.
Yes,
that
exactly.
took literally 2 times.
Yeah.
To shift your identity somehow.
Yes,
it's
also
not really a shift of the identity, but it's believing.
It's like decorating, let's say, like your identity and adding like a new like aspect of your life that you didn't know you could do. Like,
but it's true that the core is probably still here. I went to Montreal like last week and I met friends from high school. And so I realized of how much things have changed, but a lot of things stayed.
Yeah,
like, you know, I've met them as if we didn't leave each other for like those 10 years that passed.
It's so interesting, honestly. I had similar experiences. So the core is there, but you just I feel like you enrich. It's like, it's like a Christmas tree. You just put decoration on it, and then you leave the decoration. So you don't put them away.
Yeah. And have you, like, we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but have you experienced cultural differences in how people here approach friendships, boundaries, and emotional intimacy, like compared to home, for example? Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, thinking about my German friends, like maybe at the very beginning there was not such like a, I mean, I don't want to generalize also based on nationalities, but in my personal experience, I feel like it was more like, okay, who are you? Like, I will observe you. Give me some time. And then when they really like see that we are a match and everything is working out, well, they give you their heart. Like, they give you everything. It's like, it's very nice. While I have to say in some other experiences, also don't want to generalize, but I've my experiences made with people from the US, which they were over enthusiastic about us at the friendship at the beginning, but then it was like very fragile, I would say. So it depends. Superficial, yeah. Then I don't know. I had too many friends with different nationalities, so I don't know. Like, it's like very random, but I noticed like in the way I bonded with some friends of mine from Germany, it's like amazing. I know that I know that they also would like to share their knowledge with you. For example, if you have issues, like also as like, I don't know, of like also understanding how like certain things work in Germany, or like specific things about, for example, laws or anything that is like very difficult also with the language, they're always there. If you ask them, they're there and they're so available. Really like amazing.
But I feel like still, even if this is very true, I wonder if like when we're back home, the notion of boundary was way less a thing than like now that we're here.
Yes.
Especially meeting with so many different like people from all around the world, you realize that not everything is as fluid and approachable as with people that are from the same country as you somehow.
I mean, my guess was more that many people that I know that they're here, or like that they are in our bubble, let's say, they often are also familiar with this concept of boundaries, setting boundaries, and what are your needs. Then maybe they do, most of them do therapy, and I feel like it's they tell you, like, sorry, I'm so overloaded today,
but which feels nice, kind of.
It's
like
nice, but it's also a new concept.
Yeah,
probably.
completely.
That's the thing.
Completely. You navigate friendship differently, and you're a bit scared to. You never know in what you're gonna be in, kind of, or with who, or how they're gonna evolve and change it, or whatever. Like, I feel like in France, when I meet French people, I'm like super straightforward, super like, it's a flow. We're gonna joke, bim bam boom, kind of. And here it's more like, how is it gonna be? And like, can we joke? Like, my favorite type of friendship that I found in Berlin is people I can ring their bell and hang out with, which is also very rare. Like, I feel like in Paris, I was way more at people's places than I am in Berlin.
Oh,
like,
yes.
There's people I've never seen their flat.
That's
or probably they've never seen my flat.
Like, I know what you mean. Like, it was more like, it's a very similar approach to what I was used to also in Italy, I have to say. But here it's more like, I feel like, okay, I also feel like, you also mentioned it before, that you feel like you over socialize and now you need like to slow down and everything. And I feel like people are aware of this concept. So that's why they also set boundaries, probably, at least in our bubble, everything like this. So it's not more like, oh my God, I can knock at your door and like you open. It's not like that anymore.
Of course, but I feel like knowing that you have one or two people that you can kind of count on in that way. It's like, it reminds you of when you were a kid, kind of.
Yes.
Like, just knowing that you can find some people at some places is kind of comforting. That it's not all up in the air and all plans and all like.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I think it's still possible, of course, but then the people have to. Yeah, there is a lot of communication behind, probably, but it's still possible also here.
Sometimes it's funny because I feel like in the struggle we find the closest friendship. For example, like the reason why we would meet at home would be because we're struggling with money, for example. Could be like, one thing.
Yeah.
Which is like actually the more we're growing up, like as adults, and we have money and everything, we do less of this hanging out at home in pajamas, talking and everything. We'll be like more outside, having a restaurant, getting drunk, not having those like maybe deep conversation anymore because we have money that can like.
Yeah, and then it's like it's very interesting because then when you are in the restaurant, like it's so even hard to understand what the other person is saying, and when you're home, it's like chilling and everything. Yeah, there is more like like this. Maybe people don't feel like that their home even represent themselves anymore, so they don't even want to invite over, and they rather stay outside if they have the possibility to pay for something. I don't know. This concept of also having a nest. It's like very complicated.
Yes,
I feel
like people are like super protective of like where they live, which I understand completely. I mean, a few people have been to my place, except this year, I guess. But
yeah, true. I know. No, I actually tended to like my dream would have been like to have a very big like living room and then a big table and then just invite people.
Same.
Why it's best, right?
Yeah, like really. I think organizing dinner and having people over and like because it creates this like socializing thing, but with like depth and like intimacy that we're like a bit craving.
Yes.
I think when you meet, I mean, even us, like when we meet outside in a bar and like when we meet at your place.
Yeah, it's a very different. Yeah, there are two different vibes. Very different.
Yeah.
100%.
But there's still a lot of things we haven't done. That you know. No, I'm not saying that there's.
I know.
Anyways, I think now we can give a little bit of advice, and I would love to hear from you. What are yours? What's your advice for someone who just moved to Berlin and wanted to make new friends?
Ooh. Well, I would say, as we were saying, probably like it would be interesting maybe to think about what are the passions of this person. Like this person can think of their own passion, their own interest, and then try to look for the places where people are like gathering to do that. For example, like again, like the pottery class, if you like that, like you can go there and see like if you meet people like alike.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, definitely this. I would never. I mean, so there's two things. I would say like, yeah, stay true to what you're like and then try to look for people in those areas. Like either it's a class, either it's sports, whatever it is, because that's where you're going to find people that match with your lifestyle and your hobby and everything. But I would say be open-minded to try new things as well. Doesn't mean that you have to bend yourself and try to change and trying to be different. But I would say definitely if there is a person in your German class or whatever would want to be like, hey, do you want to try this bar, this club or whatever? Even 100%. If it's not 100% your things, like maybe being open-minded to the idea of trying might be cool. I mean, I would definitely, I love trying new things.
I agree.
So that would be the thing. One thing is like, I've listened to a podcast that was talking a bit about how to make friends. And they're saying that sometimes it's just about asking the next question. And I've met like some people like that. It's just that I've met them and we could have had a very superficial conversation, but because we asked another question to each other, we ended up having a conversation that led us to exchange socials and then to meet again.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Actually, it's true.
And I would also say, if you meet someone, doing efforts over and over and over again should be something that you should include in your routine, kind of.
Yeah, also.
Like letting go of your ego.
Yeah, also because you cannot build a friendship like this. Like if you don't like put an effort, it's impossible.
And also, I think it's funny, but like sometimes it's like you have to take the opportunity to either they're asking you out and you feel like it's too sudden. Maybe the trick is actually to give in, because otherwise there might be like some acquaintances for too long, you know?
Yeah.
And like asking for the person to go for a drink or to join an activity, to join a birthday, whatever, might accelerate the friendship. And also you'll be fixed quicker.
Like it's true. But I really like also what you said about asking the next question. Next question is amazing. I think there could be also like, or like go, as you said, like it doesn't have to be someone that you meet and you have direct, like, I don't know, at a pottery class or everything. It can also be someone at the German class, as you said, like in a total random place, but that you have a conversation or anything and you feel like, oh, let's go out together. Like, yeah, why not? I think that's
I met a friend at Pilates, which is, I think, hard to meet people there because we all go for one goal, doing 45 minutes of sweats and then go home.
Yeah.
Like there's no discussion anywhere that can happen. But somehow we interacted, then asked the next question, and then we ended up having a full conversation. And then for a while, we only saw each other at Pilates because we were like, okay, let's go to this class all the time together. But then it took one of us to say, hey, let's meet outside for this or that. And then, you know, and it's like someone you get familiar with because you see their face every week. So it's not a stranger, but you don't know enough about them yet.
That's so
but then, you know.
Yeah. It's true.
Sometimes it's just about like having faces, you know, around.
Yeah, also get like into like more like a dynamic of the city, a dynamic of like, yeah, it's true. It can be also your neighbor. You can go ask for lemons because you're making a cake. Whatever you're doing, yeah.
Going in that direction, how do you recommend balancing like a bit of vulnerability with caution when you meet new people abroad?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, you're asking someone that is oversharing and then like totally regretting that overshare. So it's a very difficult question. I mean, ideally, the best would be like to maybe at the very beginning, not really going through like throwing like the emotional part directly there. Maybe like more like a little bit like test the territory and like, oh, how is this person? Because if vulnerability is nice to show, but it doesn't have to be like for sure at the very beginning, because it's also something that makes you very like easy to grasp then. And if something is going like in the wrong direction, then it's not comfortable to be so vulnerable also somehow. So I feel like it depends. I don't know. I would be like, I would definitely wait to get to know a little bit the person, which doesn't mean that you don't have to be friendly and empathetic.
Yeah.
Which is a different like kind of aspect than then being vulnerable.
Yeah, I think what's tricky with being too vulnerable is like you might question, does this person want to be friend with me because they have a lot on their mind and they need someone to dump it on? Or do they genuinely want to create a connection with? And I think you can
differentiate?
Yes. Between the two. Sometimes you will feel like drained a bit and like, you know, and then sometimes you will feel like refreshed and like, oh my God, I'm so genuinely happy that I could share so much with someone. But it's true that like, I mean, I do feel like you would feel it.
Yes, you do. You would definitely. I mean, unless you don't know the person though, because you don't have to be like totally vulnerable very beginning on. It's not a must. I think it's something that develops with the friendship possibly.
But I think we're similar in the sense of like, when you say you're oversharing and then you regret it sometimes.
Oh gosh.
Then I do feel like the cautious part come after.
Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna be cautious later.
Or maybe it's also the ADHD traits, which is like boom. You know, like I feel like the oversharing and then like, oh no, why did I do it?
I mean, recently I've stopped to like regretting it. And it might be also because at some point you kind of have your story set.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like you're like vomiting the same story over and over, but it's like, I think I know myself. Whatever I'm sharing right now, I'm comfortable with sharing because I've shared it with like some people that I trust that they can keep this for them. But at the same time, if they don't, it wouldn't necessarily like break me, you know. It's like that is facts about me and I'm sharing this with you. And I'm also showing you that you're allowed to share things with me because I'm opening the door for this, which is not always the case.
100%.
Sometimes it can be intense for people and overwhelming, but sometimes people receive it very, very well and they're like, okay, there is space. Maybe it's not now, but like maybe a month from now, I'm going to be ready to open up to.
Yeah, also.
I had friends with who we had the deepest conversation from the beginning, and 3 years later I knew like bigger stuff about them, and I never wanted to pressure them into wanting to know more now. Like I was always like, they will tell me when they feel like telling me.
That's very mature, honestly.
But it can be hard sometimes because you feel like, why are you not telling me?
Yeah, I know,
You're like hiding some stuff from me. How I'm opening up to you and you don't, or
but giving the space then to, like, as you said, like, you can tell me whenever you feel like you're ready. I feel like it's also creating a safe space where then people are more prone to then open up, and it's like, it's possibly the best way to do that.
Last question.
Yes.
Last advice, kind of. What would you say are some small but powerful ways to deepen a new friendship?
Oh. Definitely, like, having experiences together and, like, start to have, I don't know, I feel like, again, like, start to have experiences, life experiences together, which can be the smallest one, like we were talking also about this at dinner, like in a different context, of course, but it's like more like, I don't know, you go out, you take a coffee, like the basic things, and then you feel like you can share with this person something, and then the person is going to share the same, and then, like, I don't know, there is, like, you observe something together, I don't know, some like toddlers crying, and I don't know, you talk about, oh, what do you think of that? And then you feel this, like, this sense of, like, not belonging, but this sense of, like, oh my God, we're sharing, like, our daily routine together, which doesn't have to be a daily routine of every day, but it's like, okay. And then you know that you're going to see this person another time for another coffee, and then you're going, I don't know. I feel like this, you can always, like, communicate. Like, of course, communication is probably the thing that is going to deepen, like, the most.
I agree. I mean, definitely sharing experiences and having the time to be able to tell a story together at some point. Of course, laughing if you share the same humor, that's amazing. But also being able to share and being vulnerable, going back to, like, being cautious and vulnerable, but, like, leaving some space to, like, being like, this is what I'm struggling with a little bit, or like, how is it for you? And then kind of, like, sharing on that. I think that's why I'm saying always, breakups did create some friendship around me that, like, are one of my closest now, because we shared so much pain. I think friendship with a good amount of pain can create a lot of, like, strong bonds, and that can be trauma bond, but, like, I don't think it's, like, necessarily a negative thing to know that you have people around you that can support you when you feel pain, joy, and everything.
I mean, we have, like, we experience as human beings, like, so many different emotions, so definitely, like, someone who you can express the different kind spectrum of emotions that you're feeling, it's someone you're going to probably be deepen up, like, so definitely.
Well, we're gonna stop on this.
Yeah,
we're gonna finish the podcast today on this note. To summarize, I would love to say that our biggest advice of the day is really to put yourself out there.
When you feel like.
Exactly, without pressure. To go with the flow. But to really, I think, stay open-minded to the opportunity around you, because people want to connect with you more than you think.
Yes, definitely.
And they don't want to make the first move, so you might have to be the one who do it.
That's very good. That's a very good advice.
Really.
Very nice.
Well, thank you so much, Alice, for today.
Thank you very much.
I'm very tired. It's a bit late.
Yeah, let's go to, like, it was a very nice conversation.
It was amazing. I think you were amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for listening. And we will see you at the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.